I would like. Yeah, you keep the mouse. It is 6:35. I'd like to call the meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. Present, Linda Andros, John Cusick, and myself, Chris Schiffer, on the phone, Tiger Man, Pam Flynn. Thank you. I have sent out the meeting minutes from June and July. I believe that they are in good form. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes.
There was just one thing.
Okay, we'll have that corrected.
It said soil testing for possible oil contaminants and river water testing for nutrients will begin in June. We're not going to do soil testing.
Okay, we will strike soil testing from the pond work that was up because that's backdated, so good. And any other changes?
No.
That motion to approve the minutes. I'll second. All in favor? Approved. Thank you. We have the June and July minutes now recorded. Conservation Commission mission on sustainable kinetic New Canaan certification. First discussion revolves around quiet neighborhoods, leaf blower, noise abatement, and we recently were contacted by the town council of a proposed workshop on September 15th. I will see if that date is fixed and occurs. I realize that you'll be away, Linda, but I will.
Tom said that he would change it, but I think we need to get back because I wasn't in video.
Got it.
So I think we need to get back to him when he proposes.
Okay. And
how we, if we think it should continue, and then I can, just provide all sorts of documentation.
got it. And if he wants to change the date, we don't know who else is, can or can't make it, but
Well, it looked like he had quite a few people
Okay.
signing up, so that's why.
well, if we end up on the 15th, then your documentation package I'll carry,
Okay,
and maybe Susan can join me or John will join from our side,
sure.
and we'll try to make some progress on it. John, you had an interesting suggestion regarding noise abatement or what have you.
Just, yeah, in terms of trying to get off of the starting line, not the dimension that you've already done, which is tremendous, but to further take the next step, I should say.
Like a concrete action.
I just wanted to float the idea of a voluntary, the commission, so just pick a day and suggest a voluntary day for people to not use leaf blowers. So in order to get people thinking about pollution issues, the air pollution, noise pollution, particulate matter issue, pick a day where we would recommend voluntary payment.
A little bit like no May.
Yeah, essentially.
Kind of like an awareness day.
So like a no blow.
No, yeah, no,
Actually, we, if we wanted to do that, I mean, the leaf season starts October, November.
when
So
they're more needed.
when they're more needed. So if you wanted to try a quieter day, would it be in September as would be your thought?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what jumped to mind for me was September 5th, just because people would be enjoying themselves and there wouldn't be a lot of noise to begin with, and people might appreciate the quiet.
That's a holiday.
That's the holiday, that's the Labor Day.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is that people who are
Doing
more doing stuffers want that holiday to do their,
The town doesn't operate on Labor Day, right? Everybody's off?
Tiger.
No, we don't operate on Labor Day. That's one of our holidays.
Okay, well, I'm willing to promote that idea and see whether we can't get some traction on, a quiet day. It's a little bit like no mow May, no blow September. Dark sky, and there are all these opportunities
Right.
to just send a message, and it's participatory, right? It's voluntary. And it might build up some momentum, and if the notice was given through the garden clubs and New Canaan moms and newcomers, we just kind of rely on social media and maybe a little bit of press coverage to see whether we can do that. So I'd be in favor of trying to, short notice, but I'd be in favor of trying to get something in you'd have to get it in the week before.
Yeah, you make a good point that you need to do it before October because.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we could,
So I can come up with some wording on that.
Why not?
Yeah,
Let's do that, and I'll work with you on that. I'm here for the next few days, so we can definitely get something going. It brings to mind, our opportunity, particularly if we want to develop more consensus or more support for, quieter neighborhoods, which I think is the lead on this. I know Susan sent me the Lewisboro, $100 buyouts of gas, get a $100 voucher. And I'm seeing TV advertisements now that
yeah,
1.5 hour run rates on leaf load. I mean, all they gotta do is get the Dyson guy who made the hand drive and back, and you start doing leaf blowers, and you might get the longer run. So there are a number of good ideas, which I think we can then also bring up in the joint meeting of action steps going forward. Any other discussions regarding that topic? Your memo was great that you crafted.
yeah, okay. Well, this will just be part of the package to send to the bylaws and for the ordinance.
Got it, for the joint meeting.
For the joint meeting.
Okay. John, any other?
And
points?
I'll send it to you, John and Susan. Susan here?
Susan isn't in, but she'll pick it up when she's ready.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Has the river testing now, we're moving on to point B, river testing,
They didn't do much, they don't do much in July, they're gonna start and do pretty extensive in September.
so September they pick up the cycle again.
Yes,
Got it. And to your knowledge, we're current now with Nikki in the
yeah,
system, great.
yeah, everything's.
Okay. John, this is good news for you. The town is suggesting of putting $200,000 towards townwide canopy. Tiger, thank you very much for leading that program. That you guys, you turned around that memo in pretty short order on a good idea. And I sensed at the Board of Selectmen that they were relatively positive about it as a good use.
Yeah, we had been talking about it previously, and then we had talked about it through the budget cycle as well. So when Kevin came forward with the initiative, they had already spoken about it previously when they had been discussing ARPA funds. We said we'd be bringing it forward, and the moment he said bring it forward, we jumped on it.
Good, it's great. And the possibility of 100 for town roadways and 100 for parks and what have you. It would be fantastic.
Yeah, 100 for the roads, 100 for parks and properties. Because I included parks and properties because I wanted to beautify Vine Cottage or something at the town hall or other buildings that we have. I wanted to kind of expand on it to not just be the parks themselves.
Got it. And I do appreciate your argument for a diversity of trees, given that the blights come around and go around. Is God's Acre a possible planting opportunity?
At present, I think we're just maintaining it. We're not doing anything new on it.
And I did want to mention to you, that big oak by the pond in Waveney, in the big oak. I don't know if you're familiar with that, John. If you're up at the parterre garden or the walled garden,
Yeah.
and you look down to the
Yeah.
there's a massive oak.
Yeah, exactly. It needs some help.
It's actually on its way out.
Okay.
And I think it's dropping. It's at a risk of dropping, but
Okay, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I suspect that that's going to be.
Before somebody walks in.
Yeah, that's going to be done, but just by way of background, I had visited a nursery called Gossip Brothers up on, they're just in South Salem. And, I inquired, what is the cost of moving a tree? So, we said, well, I got this bur oak here. It was about, I guess, 6-inch caliper. They said that's about a $5,000 tree. And it's about $2,500 to come and plant it. So they come with their spade, dig it out. When I inquired about a big tree, and I'm not sure what size you're looking at, if you go too small, it doesn't make a start. He said a 12-inch white oak would be in the region of $20,000. Because of the size to transport it. So, you know, the root ball must be really big, and 12 inches is a serious tree.
Yes.
So, you know, it's gonna be interesting, Tiger, how you allocate that spending out, because if you don't wanna go with too many saplings, because they just bend out, you gotta get something big enough to stay, but you guys have the experience.
Right. Yeah, so we'll have to balance those two out. I was talking to Bob about it as well, and depending upon the size of tree we bring in, sometimes we need to bring in a crane. Like we were talking about specifically about the white oak down by the pond, how to bring a big enough tree in to utilize, right? And then how do you get it in, right? So the thought is we might have to fly it in from the access road behind it on a crane to come over, there's different ways to do it. But so we were talking about trying to get a nice sized tree back in there, but the logistics sometimes are a little difficult.
Yeah, I would think that, 12 inches, I think that's smaller than the Rockefeller Center tree that they try to bring in, but you'd have to flatbed that thing in there, I'm sure, and figure out a way to get it down the hill to the spot, and then you need a spade, the big system to dig in position. So much can be done, but it's great to have this started. I understand it won't be put forward until September. So you're really thinking about organizing it in the fall and planting in the spring, or I don't even know.
You're muted again, Tiger.
I know I'm trying to be nice. Certain aspects, we might not be able to get done in the fall. The relief project for South Avenue, we're hoping that's a fall project. With a quick turnaround from the state as far as permitting goes. The Beautification League has already been out surveying the areas that we need to, and then kind of putting together a list of trees that we want to use, looking at the DOT list, so that we might be able to jump on fast. The other ones, depending upon where they are and what we're thinking, we'll pause a little bit and try to get just a little bit more input. The relief project, they already had a study done in '99. A complete study of over the entire length of South Avenue. So that's a little bit easier, I think, to implement than the others.
Got it. Okay.
Tiger, you said that some of the parks, you had a concern that some of them had kind of adequate trees. Do you think, it'll be easier to identify places along roads that rather than compare to parks?
Yes and no, because we're really heavily canopied. If you look at it, we have a lot. We're looking at specific areas, right? So this morning we were looking at some of our parking lots. Lapham Community Center is pretty much devoid, right? So looking at there, we were looking at Talmadge Hill. A lot of the removals that we do along the roadside are I'll say in a canopied area. So when we pull one down, you don't necessarily miss it, right? But I think that Bob mentioned half a dozen places along the roads that he could put trees immediately. So I think we're well on our way there. And then the parks, just a little bit more sensitive,
right?
But we're, I know everyone wants to see a nice big meadow at Waveney. That's what we're trying to have, but there's areas in each park where we could do some good.
I was curious about that, and then also wondering, do you want to really get locked in with that 50-50 split between parks and roads? If you
I didn't want to. I wanted a 200. Originally, it was 100 for the. It was 100 for the roads, and then Kevin said I want 100 for the parks. I agreed with that, but then I said, well, why don't we go just 200 overall, right? Just give me, we'll go 200 and we'll figure it out. And if it's 60-40 one way or 40-60 the other way, it doesn't really matter. It's 200. And then we decided on 50-50. But I would imagine that if we got to that point and we found a real direct need in a park over a road or a road over a park, however way you look at it, I think we could go back to the bodies and they would say, we gave you $200,000 for trees. You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the question thereafter would be, from the annual tree management budget, should there always be a small portion for replanting, or should it always, because this is where we're 95% tree removal. Should we always think about having a small percentage for tree planting? And that's partly what we do.
Right. I mean, this year I did add $20,000 for tree planting. Well, I added it to the tree maintenance line item. And tree maintenance is if we need to save a tree, prune a tree, or plant a tree, right? So we have basically 3 lines in the tree service budget. 2 of them are for removals, 1 is for maintenance. And I put $20,000 extra in there with the thought that, yeah, we might be able to, now we've got some seed money that every year, if we want to look at an area to replant, I've got money. Whereas before we were having to find the money for areas when someone came forward with an idea. So now I've got specific money set aside, and I think we could grow that number as we go.
Well, there's a coincidence to that is this great little Instagram quote or dialogue that says a society always gains when old men plant a tree in the shade of which they will never enjoy.
Oh, yes, right.
And it's true, right? But planting trees is about, we're going to be around for hundreds of years. Let's keep thinking about it. Okay, Tiger, thank you so much for that. Food scrap recycling. We were going to hear something from New Canaan F Forward, which is the food recycling and waste. And they've identified the biggest problem, which is the waste haulers for restaurants don't want to segment. They just want to carry it out. And it generally gets all covered in one big compressor. This group is, actively looking at how can they manage that food waste stream. Because if you look at the town of New Canaan, it would be restaurants, then there are homeowners, and then there are homeowners who use service. And none of the services collect food waste either. So if you have a hauler or somebody manages yours or yours, there isn't a segmentation opportunity. You have to separately do it and run it yourself.
Yes.
So
So what are they going to do more?
this group is working with the restaurants to try to come up with a collection system of food waste. Between the prep side and the clearing side.
And so then they take it to the transfer station?
And then I don't know, Tiger, whether that actually gets taken to the transfer station, adds to your time.
No, I think that would be a direct to the composter. If they brought it to us, they would almost inundate us, because we're on a toter system.
Right.
Yeah.
If they came in with large loads all the time, I think they would inundate us. I think it might be better. We can talk to them. I just don't want it to be where, they fill 10 of our toters.
Right.
So they work with the restaurants.
They're trying to work directly with the restaurants to work on the compostable waste management. I think we'll invite them to come talk to us at a meeting or two and see what
I'm
we
sure
can
the
do.
sustainable committee would like to hear how they,
Also.
because with some of the other logistical problems that we have with food distribution.
Okay, sounds good. And in the meantime, I guess the summer slows down a little bit on food scraps, but I think that program is going well and it's underway. Solar, we should be generating a lot of electricity, Tiger.
We're doing pretty good. Yeah. Right. We haven't had a rainy, but what, 44 days over 84 degrees, I think was the record that we set today. And virtually no rain. Our food compost, our food scraps, we're averaging, I said this last month, we're averaging 1,000 pounds a week, which is fantastic. But yeah, so I haven't looked to see exactly how we're spinning, but I can give you a report and tell you where we're at.
It would be great, just, it was a smart investment, what with electrical prices going up and everything, and it should be, it's kind of like a capital substitution for operating costs if that electricity is used throughout. So I hope that we'll see more of that. Next point is swap shop. It looks like you're clearing the area out for it, and I think Robin Bates Mason is trying to put together a volunteer group. Is there a date set yet for painting or improving the site?
Well, all we have to do is remove the 2 units in front. We met with Robin and a couple members of Planet New Canaan last week at the site. We prepared the inside of the building, made it safe, electrically put a new ceiling in it, and took everything out that we could, put some shelving in. And then we met with them to try to give them some shelving that we had in storage up at Irwin. And then she's putting together some volunteers. She thinks because of the summer, she needs to do that in September, October, and then we'll be looking to open October-ish, November-ish. And then the only 2 things I have to do is just remove the 2 containers I have. One, the electrical container, and then another one that's a storage container for the police department. It's got tires and signs and stuff in it. We'll move those out. We've already got an area paved through there, and then we paved an area next to the old animal control building, for parking for the volunteers, and then we'll restripe the front for visitors. So we're on our way. Once Robin is able to put together her volunteers, I think you'll see it take shape on the inside even further, and we'll be ready.
So September?
September, I think, is the time for her to get in with the volunteers, and I think October will be the time for us to open. Yeah.
So it'd be fantastic to have it up and running by the end of 2022. So
I wanted it in May and June. I'm on record on a podcast, May and June, right? So the sooner the better for me.
Just on the Green Lake, not that we need to spend too much time on it, but I also noted that there was an effort to improve the Meade Park Trail system, which would be connecting through to the Bristow, and then eventually. And I think that's kind of a pretty positive move. I'm not sure whether it's going to be flexi-pave or improved gravel bed or finer stone dust, but that's another big chunk. If we get Meade Park transiting well, that would be great.
Are you speaking of the access road in Bristow from the parking lot?
Well, there's some movement on from the parking lot to the entrance of Bristow, but there's also a question of the whole Gold Star walk and being able to circumambulate the pond.
Right. I proposed that. Well, Kevin came forward with an idea, and then we proposed a $300,000 ARPA allocation for a flexi-paved trail.
I got to tell you,
navigate in the pond.
Your sound is going in and out.
Oh, sorry. So we proposed $300,000 for circumnavigation of the pond for ARPA funds at the Board of Selectmen meeting right before the tree fund was discussed, and they approved that, and that'll go same road as the trees to the Board of Finance and Town Council. And then I met with Keith Simpson and Bill Pollock yesterday and told them that I wanted a proposal for improvement of the access area. I call it an access road because our Parks Department uses it, right? But from the Meade Park parking lot at the lodge to the Bristow entrance, I told them I wanted a proposal for an improved access material wise, and then for stabilization of the bank. Stabilization and beautification of the embankment that's there as you're looking at it right now, that it's just got stone with a tarp, filter fabric below it, and it doesn't look that nice. So they're going to come forward with a plan to beautify that area, and then we'll look to either pave it, flexi pave it, do something where it's a little bit easier on the feet for everyone, a little bit easier travel, and then stabilize the embankment and beautify the embankment and make it a little bit more fitting for the park itself. So I tasked them with that yesterday, and I'm waiting for the proposal. I'll bring it to the first selectman for approval. We'll go forward.
Tiger, that's great news.
Yeah.
That'd be really great. That's really going to tie our parks together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the items I have on this front. Just continuing on to the Bristow Park. We're on plan with the new spending cycle. There's some work, I believe Pollock and Simpson are gonna do a little work regarding Wildflower Meadow. And I did want to bring up to you and to the commissioners that the class of 77 has their, I guess, the 45th reunion. And they're talking about raising money in Cam Hutchins' name. And we've been approached to potentially put a Cam Hutchins little memorial, because there's also the Cam Hutchins pollinator pathway
Right,
resolution,
Right.
to have a memorial for Cam by the Wildflower Meadow, and that the fundraising would raise money to plant. It's sort of like a half moon shape. And then the meadow is pretty full, but they would want to raise money to improve that and plant it. And then also, my request was, that's great for the planting and for the memorial, but it would really be helpful for some maintenance dollars on
You
it.
always have to have natives.
Gotta have natives. So we're in a dialogue, but I think it's progressing pretty well. I love the idea of Cam. We'd be so happy for this. So I think when we get a more formal approach on it, we'll have it presented to the commission for review and approval. I believe Tiger's been informed of it as well, so it's
Keep going.
Who's spearheading them?
well, it's Robin Bates made, they've been in touch with Rob
Right.
in the contact side. And it's got to be there must be the class of 77 organizers
Okay, got
who are doing it.
Yeah.
And I was very supportive of what might be done, and in fact, Robin and I did a quick walk and said, yeah, this is where it would work really well.
Right.
And then we discussed, if they donate money, how can they be sure the money is spent for maintenance? And I said, that's management. And the truth is, that we know how much it is, it would be pretty much spent out in a certain pattern, and then what's left in the investments would carry it, another year or two.
A restricted fund.
It would be restricted, and my guess is it would be restricted, but it would run for 5 years or something like that. It was $15,000 or so. 5, maybe get to 6, depends on how it performs.
Right.
And then, it would, I think they have to make, even on those things, if it's not going to be, I don't think they can raise it to perpetuity endowment. But it would be a kind of a single fund endowment.
Yeah, there are a number of those memorial gardens in the nature center
Yeah,
that had, they've been there for a long time, and they didn't have maintenance, but then after that, then they just.
right. So-
And it becomes part of the operating budget of the organization, and sometimes it's prioritized very lowly.
Right. Well, and it's, and it's sort of.
Even you got
reverse.
the plaque there,
It
but you don't
reverse.
watch the plaque for.
And that's right, then you end up with, well, there are, there's a garden club plaque on one of the stoves. This would be a plaque, but then there's the Anna Hoyt bench. And then they're kind of kept it to relatively small little
Yeah.
plaques, as
Right.
opposed to big heavy monuments.
Yeah.
But,
Or, highly gardens that need a lot of maintenance.
yeah, gardens that need a lot of it. You get it. And even the Wildflower Meadow.
Yeah.
The some maintenance and planting, so
Sort of thing.
we encourage them to do the support.
I mentioned someone someone should have brought.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and Julia's insane,
Yeah.
and I think Julia was not interested in the bench.
Right.
Maybe a memorial would be nice, but she loved the idea of the pollinator.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you had a chance to be in Bristol Park, but now the whole railroad river stream walk is complete.
Okay.
With all the paths and little walkways and bridges. Superb. Superb. Pavilion is scheduled probably in February. It's the timelines for anything are just crazy.
Yeah.
We are going to start on, I'm going to start working on planning. It's related to phase 3. There's going to be a walkway towards the wetland, which is like in the northern part of I would call it the northeast quadrant of Bristol Park. And we did receive funding for a bird blind
Mhm.
to put in there, and the Connecticut Audubon crew has, drew up what a design one,
Right.
and I've kind of followed up with the fellow who built the walkways in there,
Mhm.
and I said, could you do a live edge wood kind of bird blind setup? And he said, not a problem. So the only thing we'd have to sort out, and he'd have to arrange is the footings. And if you need to put in a cement footing, or could you put in a locust post footing or whatever, right? So that will be coming. So the birding aspect is we will continue to build on that. The other good news is they're up to 90 identified bird species now. Oh, wow. Just 10 to go to get to this.
So who reports on that?
It's in eBird. So there's the national hotspots kind of database for birders. And in eBird now, they've now recorded 90 different species.
And so Bristow is the second.
And Bristow bird factor, if you go on eBird and type it in, you'll see all the birds.
And then that's it, the person who submitted it.
Yeah,
their
you
name
get
there?
their name. So it's there are 4 or 5 active birds.
I was gonna say, we probably concentrated less.
It's very
Bird.
complicated. It is.
eBird.com.
And then just lastly, on the Bristow side, I've started to draft towards what I call a centennial celebration committee.
Mhm.
And some of the people involved, you may know, Sven England said he'd like to be part of it, given all his background. Bob Sawyer, you might know from the Whitman Park Conservancy, and a supporter of the Friends of Bristow, Bill Ives. And then Sarah Herring. We're going to try to, Sarah Herring is sort of like the manager of social media
Right.
of it. I'm going to try to expand it a little bit, but and then try to work with a proposed, what will that day look like, or what will we do?
Yeah.
I think the date is September 8th, 2024. For the official opening. And that will be the 100th anniversary. So the only thing that we now formally funded is for Gwyneth Walker, who has written pieces for a woodwind quintet related to nature. So it's 5 different pieces with which basically I think either precede or immediately follow a poetry reading about birds, woods, what have you. So she's working on a program there, and it would probably be about a 30-minute, right, 20 to 30-minute kind of program. But there are other things that we should do, including finding a great speaker,
Right.
a famous birder or somebody like that. And then obviously the town officials would be in attendance. So I'm thinking the event, we'll probably include a bird release or 2, or a turtle release or a bird release.
Sure.
And I'm open to other ideas of what we could do to celebrate it. And I happen to have the speeches from the 1924. Oh, so
You do?
I've got some of those. So
Wow.
So just so you know, in September, we're on a 2-year timeline to that celebration. That's really the percentage of doing this. And in part, that's why I also shared with you the Friends of Bristow account, which will be added to some of it is already allocated towards bird blind. But I would think by the time we complete this, there will be a small endowment that can be used to support the park. That would be my goal, and not to have it go, at least as long as I'm around, to go without.
Yeah.
And if you have any other thoughts on that, I'm happy to hear it. The fernery is continuing to be well maintained. I have, and I should share this with you. I've always wanted to have the beautification league and the land trust as partners. Beautification league, given its loading, isn't really capable of taking over the garden club, already has Spurway as part of
Right.
Wavy. And so I've initiated a dialogue with the land trust, sit on ex officio, And there's an increasing level of receptiveness to, if there is, can we do a working relationship? And I think it, you know, it might not be as formal as the way we Park Conservancy, public-private partnership,
Right.
but there may be a way for them to become the partners and give them an in-town kind of focal point. They would be able to then potentially contribute the 1.2 acres that they own next to it. And then they could arrive at, and I think this would have to be negotiated between the town and them, arrive at a working agreement. You know, these are the things that we do, these are the things that you do as a town, and we as the commissioners sit in between. Much like the athletic foundation reports to the Parks and Rec, and the Wavy Park Conservancy reports to Parks and Rec, this would be a land trust conservation commission kind of dialogue or relationship. And I think
And
that,
equipment, and to include the beautification,
pardon?
and to include the beautification.
It would be great to include them, but they have sort of, they're a little fighting shy
Yeah,
of working on it. But I think over time, it could be
Right.
included.
right.
And so, it would be a, you know, I'm trying to get the park to a point where they
Yeah.
say, yeah, we could be a partner.
They do, of course, they have to manage Lee Garden.
Right.
That's a big responsibility.
Lee and all the intersections,
Yeah,
and then the town parking areas and what have you. So, and they're like all organizations, everybody's got, you know, an organization and then their worker team. And then it's sort of like, you know, how far can you go? How far
Yeah.
you want to stretch?
right.
Hopefully, we'll have Bristol in such nice shape.
But having it some form of relationship where the involvement might ebb and flow, would just be a good framework.
Yeah.
Right, which is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Then you get people on various, who are involved in these various things, who might say, I have a really strong interest in birds, I want to spend
Yes,
over there, you know.
Yeah.
so-
You need a person that is going to advocate it and oversee it.
and I,
Like we're doing
Yeah.
now, it's,
Yeah.
you know, like you're really doing,
no, but,
and it has to be, it's like
Yeah.
an executive.
and it really is,
Executive director.
yeah, it is that advocacy role,
Yeah,
an eyes-on role that you get to. And.
and it's not just somebody that may, you know, is in maintenance, it's somebody that has a vision.
Yep.
And knows how much things cost and, you know, is
Right.
able to advocate financially as well as
Right, and, you know, the land trust to its credit,
environmentally.
it is operating some wildflower meadows, wildflower sanctuaries, they know trails, they know trees, they know invasives, so there are a number of reasons that it could work. And I would say that, you know, from 1924 to 1955, the Bird Protective Society was the caring organization, and they were in conjunction with the Garden Club.
Right.
Because in that period, there was only
Right.
Meade and Bristol.
Mhm.
And I don't know when Watts came in, but it was later. So that's the real goal, is to have some kind of, you know, hopefully ongoing advocacy team.
And have it be a part of the land trust.
And have it be,
And then possibly a part-time employee or something that is also a bird,
yeah,
bird knowledgeable and ornithologist, some way that, which would be perfect.
right. And there's that opportunity, maybe it's with the Nature Center, because they have an ornithologist on board with Frank Gallo. I don't know how his time is allocated.
We still need to talk to, Bill
Right,
about how to engage him more. The last time I spoke to him, they needed more for him to do.
mhm,
And in order to sort of support his
yeah. just-
fee, because he can't just come down
Sure.
and volunteers.
No, that makes sense. So, in fact, Billy did just reach out to me,
Right,
so I should respond and say, yeah, we're noodling through this
yeah.
to see what we
But
can.
then there was also that program for high schoolers
Mhm,
to monitor bird.
Right.
birds.
The Green League,
Yes,
well, there's opportunity to continue to engage. We're in the fallow summer period,
right.
but come the fall, you know,
Because if we have these cameras, then we can start gathering film, and we can possibly have film in the background, you know, centennial or something.
mhm,
beautiful birds that come through.
Yeah, we could say that,
Good segue to, yes, the trail cams.
which is that, I did some research and decided on which to trial, so just ordered one, which is actually arriving tomorrow, so, we'll see how that one
Yeah,
plays out, I'm sure, I mean, there's a million choices, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure 80% of them are fine, they only make it enough to.
yeah, you should try it out, because especially if we have a vision of someone taking it and making a little documentary about this.
Yeah, yeah, so.
We want to do it, that way it's quality.
We'll get those up, hopefully this weekend.
Good. That's
That
fun.
could be one of the best promotional.
Exactly.
Yeah,
tools that we have.
very good. Okay, anything else on Krista? All right, I don't think we'll, touch on the, open space points today. I think we'll table that for a later discussion. I think October, November, because then we're gonna be, 2023 will be a serious ramp up for the plan of conservation development. To be reviewed and put out in 2024. Although I guess they can do it in 2024 and it gets published in 2025. But that's the other area where, as our collective experience, to influence the direction and how the town plays forward. And that would be, that's gonna be, our chance to have a lasting,
Yes.
or at least 10 years, if that's part of what I think that could see effect, both on overall conservation and potentially supporting open space and what have you, right? Planning, so.
It's very important to
Yeah.
have a plan.
So,
I do
any
have a
other-
little bit of new business I forgot to
Please.
tell you about.
It's okay.
Spotted lanternfly has infested Fairfield County. And the reason why I know that is because I found one on the property. And I sent it to Skip, because he's on the agriculture committee, agricultural board, who sent it to his entomologist. And yes, it was definitely a nymph, and he's with the Fairfield County, sent back to Fairfield County, was infested. So somehow we need to, I mean, I know some of the arbor tree companies in town might know this. I know that Olmsted last year sent out a brochure, but somehow I think we need to make people aware possibly.
Can you tell me a little more about the damage that the spotted lanternfly causes? Or what are the issues with it?
Well, they eat trees. So, and certain kinds of trees, I know they particularly like roses and they like fruit trees.
Right.
And there's some other kind of tree that they also infest. But I can't remember what they are right now, but I can easily find out.
Right.
I have it on my phone because they sent me back.
Why don't we get,
I did send it I sent it to Robin, and of course she's very busy.
yeah, it's out of text,
Yeah.
student travels. But what would be
And
great,
she and I led that, hosted that program
right?
with the, that Zoom
Mhm.
event.
Mhm.
For spotted lanternfly. That was sponsored by the Beautification Marine and Conservation Commission, and
Well, let's do two
but
things.
no one came.
Let's do two things. Let's make sure that spotted lanternfly presentation is on the Conservation Commission page.
They didn't,
Not
I
recorded?
talked to her about it, she said they didn't record it.
Well, then maybe there's just maybe we have one page or something to
Yeah.
alert.
And
in
I think,
Fairfield County and how to observe it and what you
Yes.
might do.
right, well, I can send you guys a picture, I think a picture.
Okay, and then we can have Lola posting on the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, something like
Looks like a
that.
deal, huh?
No, they are, illustrated, one title that is really a good picture.
Huh.
It's actually a little scary looking.
Host plants include gravestone fruits and malice species. I'm not sure what malice species are. Those preferred as
Yeah, what?
pronounce them. For them.
Oh, wow, yeah, look at the color of this thing.
Oh, yeah, that's.
You've seen it too?
No, that's the,
Are you probably right?
It was that, looks like it's on a pine bush or something.
Yeah.
That's a new one, yeah.
Wow. And I guess it's got that coloration to warn predators. Probably does not have predators, but that a bright red on it would be a pretty good signal to other species.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know,
All right, well, I think that maybe.
but it's, they're new, it's really problematic in New Jersey and they have, you know, doing taking all sorts of measures too.
Out of those beetles and, ponderosa beetles out west.
Yeah.
Now, leaf tree, beach leaf disease, ash blight. Let's go with the.
Drought,
let's go with
fires.
Drought, fire, yeah. Look at that. Well, I'd like to move to at 7:20 adjourn.
Second the suggestion.
All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, Tiger.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, John.
Hey, Tiger, thank you for all your. Thank
Thank you.
No problem. Have a good night.
That you.
you. Yeah. Cheers. Take care.
So, do you want to just work on this a little bit or think about it, or do you just not care what you?
No, I'll take let me take a look at it at my house.
Okay. And